Yabba dabba do, and how do you do?
How's it going, buddy?
Hola.
Hola, bichola.
Chola.
Enrique.
Hey.
There you are.
My eyebrows are too thick to be a chola.
Not even, eh?
And I don't have any more lip liner.
Foreshadowing.
Eyeshadowing.
How you doing, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Life's good.
Life is lifing?
Life is lifing.
Life is lifing.
Enrique, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm just barely catching up on the text messages between you guys.
Oh yeah, you were stuck in traffic?
Yeah, like I sent you a great idea for a cold open and nothing. It's sad. Because it was really good.
Wait, go back.
Wait, well, there's an idea for cold open. We don't have anything on this one because we're not at our studio. We're back in Undercity.
Undercity.
See, I'm going to call BS on that. It's just you didn't put it on your board because, we're all, thank you so much. We're all solo-fi. Sorry, I said thank you off air to.
Off air, you're on air.
My wife is in the building. Bam, 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 bam.
Right. So correct me then. What do you call it? Is it off mic then? Is that how I should have said it?
Off mic, yeah.
Ah, okay. Off mic. Yes.
Off centered, whatever. Anyways.
Kilter.
Anyway, how you doing, Enrique? Why is he drinking water?
So much better now that I have water. I was feeling dehydrated, man.
It's all those concerts.
Yeah. And I got more coming. I bought the Mac DeMarco tickets.
Oh, you did buy Mac DeMarco?
Yeah, for Greek theater. He added.
That's on a Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I might go to the Friday one with my son.
Sunday.
There's still tickets available, but you're probably going to still pay quite a bit for them.
On sale at the box office.
Shut up. No, but I'm thinking of doing. I think I'm doing that concert because I do really enjoy Mac DeMarco.
So I got 2 tickets for Thursday.
Mac DeMarco.
I have no idea who you.
Bro, Salad Days, On the Level. These songs are just amazing.
That sounds awful. Salad Days. That is not how I like to live my life.
Then you don't live, man.
French fries.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Please, if you're booting up a song, Angel, put up On the Level and Salad Days, per favor.
Personally, I like Red Hot Chili Peppers. No one? All right, fine.
You've heard this song before.
It's great. It's great. Okay, now put up On the Level.
My turn.
I'm not a fan.
How can you not like this?
That's a great one. That's Moonlight.
On the River?
Moon River.
Moon Knight?
Moonlight on the River.
Moonlight on the River.
Oh.
Beautiful song.
I thought it was Moon Knight.
Tell me that doesn't hit you.
Makes me want to study.
I have that album on a vinyl, dude, and that's such a beautiful, and in the classroom. By the way, that record player you gave me is getting lots of mileage now in the classroom.
Nice.
I have students loving it. I've been introducing them to the Beatles, Mac DeMarco. A lot of them already know, but they're really digging it. I got Kate Bush. Just great stuff in there.
Kate Bush.
Yes, sir.
She's actually on the list of the top 100 albums of all time by Apple.
Dude,
Really?
but that list is kind of shit, the crap.
Um,
I'm gonna try not to cuss, guys.
Same here.
I'm gonna do my best to.
Jeb Bush was on my top 100 politicians of all time.
Are you even listening to this?
Absolutely not.
Well, he must not be because he's bringing up Jeb Bush.
All right, what's the other song?
Did you see? No, there was an interview with Ted Cruz and CNN broadcaster dude, and just politics is destroying my heart and soul now, guys.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just stay away from it.
10 years ago, like I understood. Like I used to get mad at people that said that. Like I used to be like, man, no, you gotta just. We go through the weeds, but now it's even worse, because now it's like, it really has moved into parody of a parody. It's so bad that you can't even just say like, well, maybe there's some truth in that. No, like you're really suspending disbelief now.
Yeah,
it's bad.
You know what it is? Okay, if I take either side, I'm going to be egregiously wrong in some facet, but both sides have a point. So what I do is I kind of like educate myself through the headlines, which most people do, but I don't formulate an opinion until like I read the full article.
Right.
And I try to educate myself on any like of the major details, but I try to stay away from too much of it because you get a lot of repetitiveness, a lot of fear mongering, and a lot of like misguided narratives where they're trying to like manipulate your emotions. And I'm like, I just want to be happy. So I don't need people telling me how to feel.
So, okay, so I get that, but there used to be a time where I felt like I was becoming educated by it. I was going to make decisions on, on things that were going to affect, my day-to-day life. And now I feel like, yes, I feel now it's all just fear-mongering. There was a time when if you were a Democrat, you were voting on emotion, and you were voting on like the things that you were afraid what the other side might do. Well, now if you're conservative, that's exactly what they're targeting. I'll give you an example. So, obviously the overused word woke is just way too exhausted.
I'm asleep.
Yeah, and and so the whole push against like all of these kind of topics, like the social engineered topics of like toxic masculinity, where one side says it's not real, everyone's attacking, being a male, versus the other side saying no, there's toxic masculinity. And one of the recent talking points about I don't want my bathrooms to be overrun with guys pretending to be girls, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, with right now current stuff that's happening, like for example, you guys have heard of Puff Daddy, right? And the recent video that just came out.
I call him Diddy the Diddler.
Well, he was definitely doing more than diddling when he beat up his ex-girlfriend in the hotel hallway. Have you guys seen this?
Yep.
Okay.
Diddy
so
did it.
in between
did it.
in between Dorito chump chips there, my dude.
Yeah.
What do you have? What have you seen in the video?
An ass whooping.
She should have ducked.
Whoa.
I mean,
don't mince words there, buddy.
I seen softer slams at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh,
it reminded me of UFC 3, like back in the days, when there was no rules.
Dude, he did that. Yeah, for real. He like choke, like choke hold, drop, and then just like one kick. Like, I don't know, was it like on her? Oh man, it was just brutal, dude.
Yeah, don't even get started.
It is. It's a horrendous video. Like how I know I'm joking, but it is awful because you just see like abuse, but it's things like that like, hey, there's a fundamental difference between men and women. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
And it's that sort of thing that's keeping people, like that. It's feeding that fear that's driving, our current politics. And so, I'm listening to Puff Daddy like come out and apologize for it. I wasn't that guy. I'm not that guy.
That was the biggest bunch of crap.
Yep. It really is. But then yet you have like this whole like base of people like what's his name, Andrew Tate, who's indoctrinating like young people. Like he's got a lot of young followers who are really pushing this really evil version of maleness that I just can't recognize. Lots of talk about what we used to call alpha or before what was the term before alpha and betas? There was a different term that we used to use, right?
That's the one I remember.
Is that but there's
alpha,
a new
alpha dog.
I think there's Sigma. That's what I'm mistaking it with Sigma. Now the current term is
whatever.
Oh,
yeah, Smegma.
Okay. Yeah, but Sigma is kind of the anti-alpha, but you're not really a beta. You're man enough to stand up for yourself if you need to, but you're not trying to flex.
I'll be
like
Omega
who
Red.
You are. So, like, basically, the good masculinity is Sigma, the bad masculinity is alphas, and then the worst kind of masculinity is the betas. Because the betas don't stand up for themselves, they don't stand up for anybody. They're claiming that guy who was sitting and minding his own business when that girl got attacked on that school campus, that would be considered a beta male.
So we had God, it was probably like almost 2 years ago. We've been doing this podcast for a minute now. Remember, we had this one where we were talking about. There was this one podcaster who she actually really went into an interesting, like, really into the weeds about, the dude. Really,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you not? Yeah,
go on. Sorry.
So she went really into the weeds about how you how like. I can't even think anymore. Yeah, it's all you, Angel. It's all you.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
Wait, I'm curious. What did? Okay,
go on.
You gotta remind us.
Go on.
You gotta remind
I'm sorry.
So she went into the whole weeds about like what it is to be like a male and what it is that females are looking for males. But then she went into the more psychology aspect of it, and just at the end of it all, really, it just all sounded exactly like what we now call Sigma. And honestly, it sounds like potato to me. Like, I can't really tell the difference between Sigma and Alpha because it's all the same. It all comes down to the same sort of like stereotypes.
Okay, for those of us that don't know, Enrique, explain each one. Start with Alpha, then Beta, then Sigma, then Kappa, then whatever.
And honestly, you know what? That's just it. I don't get it. I don't know that I can.
Let me try to interpret.
Doyle sounds like he knows a lot more about it than I do.
Yeah, let me try to interpret it.
I just wanted to read on the
because the stigma is this. So the alpha male is like the loud, muscular, like dominant male in the room. But what you see in alpha males is a lot of emotional instability and emotional immaturity. And he feels like his aggression is his expression that gets him the right to be heard.
Gym rats.
Yeah. Basically like a Chad or like a...
Chad.
Yeah.
Okay.
A gym rat, you know.
A gym rat.
And so muscle shirts and like, oh, look at me, and basically like a douche, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you talk about Sigmas are a little bit more emotionally mature. They'll stand up for themselves. They'll fight if they have to. They're not pushovers. They're not punks, but they're more intellectual before making decisions. They don't think that just their right to breathe is their, justification for having an opinion. They think that you actually have to be smart about their decisions and stuff. But they also understand that, hey, might makes things happen in this world that we live in. And I would think, I can't remember the philosopher who coined the phrasing, but it's like more of a stoic type nature to their beliefs and their practices. And then I guess Beta is just like the punk, the little nerd on school campuses that gets picked on and gets bullied but does nothing about it. Tony Stark is not a Beta. Tony Stark is the type of nerd that would figure out like, oh, I'm going to tie a rope around a tree and hang this bully up by his ankles. And then, like that's more of a Sigma. So it just, that's the gist of it. If that makes sense, if that simplifies it in a way. Like I said, when you talk about what good masculinity is, I mean, I would side closest with Sigma. Sigma's probably the healthiest of the three because it's kind of a blend of the two. It's a little bit, it's half alpha, half beta. So, you don't want to be a punk, but you also don't want to be so overbearing and like, blah, 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 look at me, blah, blah, blah,
So, Enrique, is his definition close?
I'll get back to you in a moment.
Oh, I thought you were
all right,
on that. All right, bet. Okay. But, okay, why do we have to label everything? Why do we have to put everything into categories?
I've been saying that for years. It was probably like in 2010, maybe 2008, where I started noticing everything had a label. And it was like in my childhood, comic books, like they didn't explain half of the stuff that you saw.
Right.
You just saw like this imaginary stuff. And then like, at first Psylocke was like, she just showed up. She was like an assassin and she just killed people, right? And she had this cool looking sword. And then they were like, oh, she got trained by these ninjas. Like, oh man, now she's a ninja.
And then she's British.
Yeah, and then
trapped in a Japanese body.
They started labeling everything and specifically like giving people all these backgrounds. But at one point, I didn't know what that background was, and that kind of ambiguity made everything a little bit cooler because I could make stuff up in my mind that was cooler than what the actual real life explanation was. Because when you don't know the story of Snake Eyes, you're like, he could be anything. He could have came from anywhere. Mm-hmm. Then once they tell you his backstory, it's like
lame,
very lame, because he's just.
One cool thing about Ultimate Warrior was he was from parts unknown.
Yes, exactly. And then
but if I knew he was from Simi Valley, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck? I don't give a shit.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
You're like,
it's the fucking same.
Yeah. I think that definitely over labeling things. I know like liberals, not to go the whole liberal conservative thing, but it's very big within the liberal terminology to label stuff.
Okay.
All right, so looking at some definitions between sigma and alpha, what I'm looking at is it basically all of it falls under like this philosophy of male hierarchy is what it falls under. And so earlier the joke that Angel made about, there really is beta, omega males.
There is omega.
There's gamma male. There's a data male, and then of course the beta male is a bad one. But
is any of them the Hulk?
Yeah, no, gamma, the gamma male. They have to be called Bruce.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Jenner?
Not to get too much into the weeds on the archetypes of male personality. The beta male is just really introverted, moderate in his approach to life, sensitive, collaborative. So it doesn't sound too bad, but obviously from a more toxic aspect, it's like that person who's a cuck, somebody who gets pushed over.
Yeah.
Then omega males are eccentric, highbrow, laid back, might be immature at times. Gamma males are adventurous, loves to have fun, tends to get restless, does not shrug off responsibilities. And delta males are extremely private, aloof, resentful, not very comfortable at social gatherings. I mean, all of it just sounds like it's psychology trying to sort of like explain
label everything.
Yeah,
it sounds like bullshit to me.
When it really is bullshit at the end of the day. I mean, I feel like it is. But okay, so according to this, the real difference we're trying to find is the difference between a sigma and an alpha, because those are the real talking points right now. That's what everybody like. You can see it on all of these like male centric podcasts and those really bad ones where one guy brings in a bunch of OnlyFans girls and and everybody, essentially they're just there to be made fun of, right? Like they'll ask them like big questions, and then when the girls don't answer like correctly, then the guys start
big
like
questions.
There's all of these girls. They're all like dressed up, like ready to go on a photo shoot. And then they'll ask them, it's like, so what do you think of the current wave of like male personality traits in relation to, the economy or some stupid thing, like that. And then the girls will like try to give an answer. And when one of them tries to sound intelligent, but really has no idea what they're saying, that's the one they zone in on. And when they get her emotional, then it turns into like, the guy then like getting a one up on her, and then that's the clip that gets put up on Instagram and on TikTok, and everyone just rallies behind
that.
That
is a form of toxic masculinity, because the one guy has to prove how smart he is.
Yeah.
Oh my Gladys, I don't give a shit.
In all fairness, in those podcasts, some of the ideology behind some of those women getting exposed at one point is, I mean, like, it's bad. Like, you hear how some people think, and you cringe really hard, because they asked this girl, they said, so if you take your friends out on a date, like, if you go on a date with a guy, should he pay? And the girl's like, yes. And I'm like, all right, I follow. And then the host asks, if you take your friends with you, should he pay for your friends? Mm-hmm. And the girl's like, yes, absolutely. If he doesn't have money, he needs to get his money up. And I'm like, okay, see, that needed to get exposed, because unfortunately in today's culture, there are people who just don't get, like, there are rules to society, and like they just exploit things and go too far. I saw an article earlier today, and in the article, this girl said that she went on a first date with a guy, and she was mad because she wanted the guy, but she couldn't have the guy. Mm-hmm. And it was her fault. So she starts off by saying, this was my fault. And then she said she went out with this guy, and she wanted him to make a move on her.
Like Jagger?
But he's like, hey, do you want to go back to my place? She's like, yes, but just so you know, nothing's going to happen. And so he's like, okay, I totally get that. She said he was a complete gentleman, completely respected her, and tried nothing. So she was upset that he tried nothing. She was like, I wanted him to try something so I could be like, no, get off me. And I'm like, but see, now you're muddying up the waters of consent.
I think you've spoken about this before.
Yeah, I mean, but this was a fresh article of something that I read today where I'm like, people still aren't getting it.
Here's the thing. It's because you can't have equality and at the same time expect certain aspects.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Is it fair for you to have those double standards? I think it's an upbringing, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. And I think the reason why these type of topics are interesting is because so many people are in the dating pool, and a lot of these are rules around like dating and how you should date. But dating is subjective, and each person has their own set of rules or their own things that they're into. For example, this girl wanted the guy to try, but in another circle, you may have a girl who's completely like, no, I need a 5-page affidavit that says like I'm giving consent before you try anything, or else I'm gonna call rape.
You stole my thunder. That's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna take out legal clauses if I were to be dating right now. I would get out these legal clauses and be like, sign here, consent here, and here, and here. Here's the carbon copy. Here's your, I would notarize it on the spot, because nowadays you can't.
Yeah, it's not fair to anybody.
Either party.
Yeah, it's not fair to anybody. You don't know if this girl's been through trauma, and then you trying, triggers your trauma. And then on the other end, you don't know if this girl's a flirt and she wants you to try, but she's really just playing coy. And it's not fair to anybody, because no man's a mind reader and no girl should be subjected. So it's like, how do you win unless you just openly communicate what you're really into and be upfront about it? Stop playing games. I'm a furry. No, you're hairy. There's difference.
Hence why I shaved the head. I want to shave my whole body. Would that be weird?
Yes. Eyebrows and everything?
Eyebrows and everything. I'm talking eyebrows, beard, armpits, everything.
Okay, I want you to do it during Halloween, and then we're going to put a bow tie on you and call you the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Do I have to be like this the whole time, just like smiling?
So earlier you mentioned about the example that the girl is asked this question, and then she says that yes, he should have paid for all of them. But the problem with these podcasts, because a lot of these opinions are being formed in these exact podcasts where it's one guy talking to all these multiple women, and that girl then it's set up as an example of all women, which I don't think that's true. In the same way that, like these sort of labels don't necessarily apply to all guys. I mean, sure, you can find traits and somebody to fill that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's who you are. It could be like a time of like it could be like it's just that time of year where you're probably at a low point, and so you might come off as being very pushover or in this case introverted, and therefore might come off more sigma versus whatever. And it's stupid because maybe you disagree with a girl on something, so now suddenly you're an alpha because you're showing the toxic traits that supposedly they have. So when it comes down to it, I think that we have really just latched on to trying to find a catch-all, and then we use current like social media algorithms to let us see. So the things that are more interesting, which unfortunately is the really bad stuff, a lot of the more toxic videos, and therefore that we suddenly think that is a baseline. Yeah. And so to the initial point that I was trying to get at within politics is that it's doing the same thing. So overall, I feel like I just want to hide from everything now, and I don't know if that's healthy, but I just want to hide from everything.
I'm with you on that one, though. Everything is trying to manipulate the emotion out of you for the algorithm or for the headline because it sells, and that's what they're doing. They're monetizing to sell. If I can trigger outrage in 59% of feminists to the point where they tune in to cuss me out online, then guess what? My comment section is going to be fire, and now I'm going to be monetized on my progress. So it's not whether or not the content's actually good or constructive to society. It's whether or not it's actually going to make money. And I think that there's a aspect of everything that we really have to start to consider if we're really trying to be objective, which is, are we really doing something for the better or for the good of society? Like there's a lot of content creators out there, and a lot of that content is crap. It doesn't do anything for anybody. It's not clever. It's not original. It's not, anything that's really going to help teach anybody to do anything other than be stupid, basically. I hate when people like send me videos sometimes because it's a lot of nonsense. And like if I'm doing something else or I'm like really focused on something or trying to be of a different mindset, and then I get a video and it's like a cat doing like 6 backflips and then it lands in somebody's cereal and everybody's like, oh, look at it. I'm just like, really? And it's not anything against the video itself or the person who's showing me. It's just like, what is our mind latched on to? Like, how does this improve anything? All it does is it takes 10 seconds to cure a person's boredom, but then we're right back in agony because of all this nonsense. We're just surrounded by too much nonsense.
Yeah. What was that?
Nothing.
But you know, the other thing I've also been thinking about a lot lately is that, like, if we just simplify things and stop like labeling things, because when you mentioned politics and how we do a lot of that in politics, I feel like they did the same thing when they labeled every conservative a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
I may have conservative views, but that doesn't mean I support Trump.
They're ignorant. That's ignorant.
I may be a little liberal in my theology or my thought process sometimes, but that doesn't make me, woke or crazy or and just because I have conservative views doesn't mean that I am completely opposed to conservative thoughts or the freedom of speech. And sometimes, like I said, you need both sides. Without both sides, how do you ever figure things out? Like,
Yeah.
I think in one of the last podcasts we did, we talked about equal pay. And I was really thinking, like, how will we ever really do equal pay? And I was like, I don't think you ever could, because then you'd have to unionize everything, and then you'd have to fire a bunch of people because the unions are so much more expensive. And then, everyone's getting equal pay, but then you have way less work. You have so much red tape, it'd be impossible to fire people. And then, like, is the juice worth the squeeze?
There is no such thing as equal pay. I think that I think the problem is that people want to feel like they're being paid fairly for what they do, and even that's difficult, because, like, what is fair in relation to whatever made up matrix you have in your mind versus, like, what it is somebody's willing to pay for those skills. And so, it's like that one, there's one video I saw of a guy, like, it's an artist. He's a guy who produces content, or he produces something, and he's
Was it
trying.
Prince?
I wish it was Prince, but no, it wasn't Prince. He's trying to. It's more like a seminar is what it was. The guy was trying to basically say something along the lines of, okay, how much are you willing to pay for such and such thing? The guy who's sitting there says, well, I want to pay the best price possible. The guy goes, okay, what's the best price? And then, looking at, he has his example, and the guy says, well, I want to pay, whatever it was that I was quoted at. Okay, well, what I quoted you would be something along this lines. And he gives him a number, and the guy says, no, that seems high. Maybe I can get it less. He goes, okay, sure. Let's make it less. Then he says, but let me break it down for you. So then he talks about what effort, how long it took him to build this, all the skills. And so so the guy says, oh, well, that's a lot. And he goes, so then what? I mean, I guess ultimately the point is he's trying to say that what you're basically asking is for me to devalue myself, in order to give you a price that you're comfortable with, when in reality, there is an objective price and there is a subjective price, and so what are you willing to pay versus what I'm willing to value myself and what I'm worth. So you should always, as the person creating the stuff, should always know what you're worth. Really, that's the end point of the whole thing.
Yeah,
but it's true, because let me interject. Me and you, Doyle, we understand our day job as estimators. How often do you get at how much is that? Why is it so much? I don't understand. Can you lower it?
Are you talking about our conversations?
No, not our conversations. I'm just talking in general.
I bet a job for Angel. He's like, your prices are too high. I'm like, well, what do you?
Well, but that's because I'm comparing apples to apples. If
Yeah,
there's
sure.
another company that, okay, Enrique, I asked him to give me a roll-up door, right?
Yeah.
He's not lying about any of
Okay.
this.
And he comes in at, I think, like 38,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
For that one door.
Yeah.
And I have to get competitive bids, at least 2 other ones. So I
Yeah,
got to get at least 3. And the other 2 come at 32 and 28.
Yeah.
And his number's 38. I mean, can I justify it to my boss or to the client?
Not if you can find somebody that's selling it for 10,000 less.
Yeah, I can't do it. So that's different.
Ours is quality.
Well, there it is. That's exactly right. Like that's what it comes down. You have to show what's the difference between what you're doing and what the $28,000 is doing, right?
Don't listen to me.
Hold on, don't listen to him, because on top of that, the door in question is by another competitor of his that they're getting as their subcontractor, just adding the price on top.
But in all fairness,
so it's like the same product, but I have a middleman that I want to pay more money to.
that door is proprietary to our competition. So in order for us to make anything, we have to add the markup.
No,
so
I get it.
It totally
but you're preaching to the choir. It's just funny to me because that's the way
I'm
business
laughing
is.
because I'm like, I can't justify anything that I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You know. But no, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Like, I think the problem is not being transparent about your offering to people so that they know what they're paying for. Because I saw the same video, and is the guy like, is he wearing a hat? It's backwards. He's like Chinese American.
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the one I saw.
Yeah, I
too,
think that's the one I saw too. Great
Did we
video.
all see the same one?
Probably.
Damn.
Algorithm's kicking our butt, guys. It owns us.
It's all those text messages between
Yeah,
us.
pretty much.
Either that or the guy just went viral, and everybody was like, dude, you make sense. Because that was a great video. And him explaining and justifying the value that he was offering totally made sense. I was like, well, he's not overcharging at that point. But it took that explanation for my understanding to be like, you're not ripping me off. For example, McDonald's. Please justify how inflation has made a $5 meal $12 in less than 6 years.
Where are you getting $12? It's like $16 now.
Okay, $16.
Is it 16?
Yeah. Trust me, my kids want McDonald's, and it's fucking expensive to eat out.
Nobody is getting McDonald's in our household because we poor.
Dude, remember, wasn't McChicken's like $1.50 or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Now they're like $3.50.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I mean, I remember.
And the portions are smaller. If you look at the Big Mac,
Yeah.
did you see the video where someone actually opened up a Big Mac and the meat patty was thinner than the freaking what was
The
it?
cheese?
The cheese or something like that? Like it was thinner.
It makes sense.
Dude,
Because, not that they're doing that.
Rat
just
meat cannot be that expensive. Come on.
rat meat.
I'm spreading that urban legend.
It's not a legend. They have
rat.
okay. Any
Demolition Man is coming true.
that is true.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna invent the 3 seashells and get.
I know
paid.
how to use it.
Let's do it.
I know how to use those
Let's
3
do it.
seashells.
Has anyone really figured it out?
Yes, the first one is the scoop. So you scoop all the excess out. No, actually, no. You get the two are the clamp. So if there's anything wedged, you use it to clamp it open. Then you clean up with the third one, the scoop. There it is, the 3 shells.
Is there a duvet under the third one?
No.
Not a duvet. A bidet.
No, you use the toilet water and you scoop up the
that's
toilet water and
disgusting.
just splash it up against you.
Well, then that just defeats the point of 3 seashells.
Yeah,
I need
well-
a 4th one with clean water.
Just a bidet, dude. At that point, wash your ass, dude.
So, you know what? I'm looking over like McDonald's like app, and the average seems to be like $12, $12 to $10 for per meal. Obviously, that doesn't include taxes. Doesn't include maybe supersizing or making the large thing. But
There's where they get you. Would you like it to be large?
yeah,
And
well,
it
they don't
goes up
even
to
they don't
$16.
push
It
the
ain't
large
large
anymore.
enough.
By the way,
No,
did you hear
no,
that the supersized guy passed away today?
Yeah, I sent it to him
yeah.
today. Morgan Spurlock, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I just sent it to him.
But,
And sadly, I did make the joke, and I know I'm not the first, and there's probably all kinds of memes about it, but the guy eats like 300 pounds of McDonald's and ends up with cancer. It's like, is that a coincidence? You know, like there's an irony in the joke, but like it's being said because, you know, for years we keep seeing these signs on the front of the door that says, be careful, products used in making the food
May cause cancer.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I paying $12 for? Like, look, I'm going to be completely objective here. I think if it's not real food, it should be outlawed, period, point blank. I know that means less meat and less food and yada, yada, yada. And it means everything is more expensive because you have, you know, less. Mm-hmm. But I would rather pay $50 every once in a while for a high quality hamburger than for you to mass produce
I think I
sawdust.
say something else.
You know, like if you're feeding me sawdust and it's causing me cancer, then charge me up the wazoo for the burger and I'll get it like once a year.
Why do you think other countries will not accept most of our food being imported into them?
Because they're smart. They know better.
Yeah.
They know what we're trying to feed them because they have those same people that are supposed to be protecting us. they have those people who are actually protecting them.
When you look into certain ingredients and certain things that are out there, like take the UK for instance, there's certain items that they make their own version of ours because they won't accept ours. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know there's a few. It's gross. But basically, we're being poisoned.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a list. If you look at a list, there's a comparison. Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops is one of them. American Fruit Loops are not allowed into the United Kingdom. And instead, they have their own Fruit Loops. Same brand and everything, but when you open it up, you can tell the difference between them. So what is in Fruit Loops that is not being allowed out of the country?
You know what? I'm 1,000% behind whatever it is because I think it was Trix. When I was a kid, when Trix were like the little balls,
yes,
they tasted totally different than when they like started changing the shapes to fruits. And I think it was because they changed the ingredients. And as a teenager, I remember getting the Trix and I was like, man, I love Trix. I want a box of Trix. And I know it's sugary, but I'm going to get it. And I got it. And then it like had all the shapes and, all the advertising and the commercials were out there. And I remember taking the first bite and I was just like, this is not the same thing.
No, not at all.
And it was so disappointing.
It was discombobulating.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know we have a lot of people in the world. I know, like, it's got to be hard for these companies to keep up profit margins and mass produce stuff. But there's a point where you just go, you guys are just trying to make too much money if this is the case. If you can't keep the quality up, then you shouldn't be allowed to make money like that.
Yeah.
You can't cut the quality out and start poisoning people for your profit margins. But that's business and that's, toxic capitalism.
Okay, so, I'm looking at this list and here's my question though, because when I hate that, like, no matter what sources I'm looking, the only person that really has it laid out is somebody called foodbabe.com. And like, how reliable is that?
Wait. What's it called?
Foodbabe.com.
I'm not Googling that.
No, I'm not putting that in my algorithm.
There's nothing dirty about, well, sure, that's true. But there's nothing dirty about the website. It's just, but I mean, this is who I have to rely on for this information. But here's my question though, like, and I've looked at a few websites while you guys were talking, but I mean, the difference, it seems to me like part of the difference isn't also that the UK, for example, because right now she's comparing UK, that UK is making different, different ingredients. Is that UK has different regulations on what they need to report versus the US. And so my question then is what stuff isn't the UK reporting?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just because, like if you look at a label, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just look at French fries. She's talking about McDonald's French fries. She's saying that according to this, the U.S. has to report this. It says potato, vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, hydrogenated soybean oil, natural beef flavor.
Pause. Hydrogenated. Why?
Soybean. I don't know. She doesn't say why. I'm not even going to get into the weeds. Let me just say this.
Continue.
Okay. She's saying so this is all the US stuff. Sodium acid, phosphate, salt, fried and vegetable oil blend with citric acid and dimethylpilocylene. Okay, all sounds really bad, right? Now the UK, all it says here is potato, vegetable oil, sunflower, rapeseed, dextrose, fried and non-hydrogenated vegetable oil, and salt is added after cooking. That sounds so much cleaner. But you know what? The thing is that vegetable oil, then all of these other oils that add up, there's no guarantee that UK isn't using that stuff either. They just don't have to report it.
Yeah. I see
Same
what
thing
you're
with like
it's a different spin.
Yeah, and
That
so
makes sense.
it's
Okay.
possible that some of this stuff is different, but I question that because if you look, for example, at also like Quaker, I'm not even going to read it because it's a lot. It's I don't want to bore you, but it's a laundry list of all the things like besides whole grain rolled oats. Which is the same thing the UK also offers. It also talks about the sunflower and palm oils, sodium, caseinate, flavor, all that stuff. But only in the UK.
I should need it.
Well, that's just it. If you can't, really what you should be saying is if you can't pronounce it, you might as well not report it on the UK site.
Yeah.
Because it's possible they also have that stuff or some of it.
Well, check this out. And I know we're in California, and so everything's going to be 10 times worse. But at the end of 2019, compared to mid 2024, here's the price differential at McDonald's. A medium French fries at the end of 2019 was $1.79. In mid 2024, it's $4.19.
Yikes.
A McChicken was $1.29, $3.89. A Big Mac was $3.99. It's now $7.49. It's an 87.7% increase.
And the size of them are like a freaking little fist
Now they're going to try
nowadays.
to make you believe that it's because of
COVID.
well, no, because of employee prices, and they're going to try to make you believe that. But McDonald's has been like skirting the profit line for a long time, and it's just what's happening now is that their bottom line is getting hurt because they're trying to maintain it, so they're raising their prices up to keep it low. Because for the longest time they were just like Walmart and just like what Starbucks is doing now, they were like such a large leader. They were able to control all the different means of production for it, and they're losing that. They're losing that battle, and so still they need to. Their responsibility to their stockholders is to continue to grow profit. So if they can't do it through what they used to do it by brute forcing it, now they're going to start squeezing it out of you by higher prices as well.
The truth is that McDonald's hasn't always increased their profit margins based on the quality of their food. They are actually the largest real estate company.
Yeah.
And so they've been increasing their value based on the real estate that they've been able to open. But when people are not going to McDonald's as much because the food is, one, killing them, two, it's way too expensive, three, the value of what I'm getting is not as good. Half the time you go, they mess up your order anyway.
Yep.
So why go? And now you have to close locations. So it just, I mean, at a point, enough is enough, and the people are speaking with their wallets. But I hate the internet, you guys, because I'm scrolling looking for information, and it says McDonald's now offering 36-month zero down interest financing on all value meals.
What? Wait, what? Is it like a credit card?
It's gotten that bad?
No, McDonald's offering 36 months. Oh, yikes.
We're almost there.
That can't be real.
Yeah.
It can't be, but
That's funny.
we're close. We're close.
Jesus Christ.
Welcome to the dystopian future of 1984.
Well, I'd rather have this dystopian future than like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome future. Although we are heading in that direction.
If you had to live in a dystopian future, is there one that's better than the others?
Waterworld.
No, I can't swim.
Dry land is not a myth.
So when it comes down to it, this is the reason why I just completely escape into rather than watch politics, and I've done less and less of it, where I used to be super engrossed in it. Now I just watch TV. So now, like, I'm getting caught up on all my shows. I haven't watched X-Men 97 yet, but I definitely loved Invincible, and Invincible was my current favorite show next to Last of Us, and Fallout, by the way, was an amazing series.
Fallout was amazing. It was so good. I wish it was longer.
I'm going to check it
That's
out
what she
because
said.
you both have said to check out Fallout.
You'll love it. I think it does
Yeah.
a really good job of scaring you about nuclear war. Like it does,
And
a really good
corporations.
I did. I did check out Invincible because you guys said it. And
job. What you think?
okay, so I got some thoughts. Invincible, incredible show.
No, it's called Invincible.
I was.
I got that. That was
I
funny.
see what you did there. I love the first season, but I love the first season for different reasons than most people probably.
Because you're
Because you took a poll. Did you ask most people?
No,
he has a whole list, a whole record.
This is an assumption. This is an assumption. But so I kind of like fast forwarded ahead and saw what's coming down the line, and there was a relationship that develops in the story that I was like, oh, that's going to be good. And you could see seeds of it planted in the first season. And so I really liked, some of the stuff that you see, like the gratuitous violence and everything.
Yeah, that was like that first episode is like beautifully shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, do we give spoilers? I don't mind the spoilers. I mean, do you guys want to go into it? It's
rock
season
and roll.
1. Yeah,
Rock and
so
roll.
that first season, I love the you meet the father who's supposed to be Superman, in their world, but dude, voiced by what's his name?
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, just amazing voice, man. So
Love
good.
his voice, but it still shocks me to think that he's the yellow M&M. That always
No, what?
Yes.
No.
Omni-Man is the yellow M&M?
No.
J.K.
I love it.
Simmons does the voice for the yellow M&M.
Since when?
And since ever. And Billy West is the red. You know,
Okay, the
Fry.
Billy West I get. I can hear it.
Yeah.
But the yellow one is him?
Listen
No.
to it. Listen to it.
God damn, you just destroyed me right now.
I'm sorry.
You derailed my whole thought process, conversation.
I'll shut up now. I'll be over here. I have
just
no more Doritos.
Go back to the Doritos, bro.
I got no more Doritos. I'm sorry. But yeah, J.K.
So
Simmons.
okay, that's awesome. But he is so great. But you meet him, you the dynamic is built up. Almost seems like things are gonna be wholesome, and then that last episode, dude, where like Omni-Man just gets these. By the way,
Justice
characters
League.
that I really wanted to get to know. This
Yeah,
Justice League analog. What are they called?
Guardians
of the
of the
Globe.
Globe.
Great characters, and then he
Speaking of
murders
which-
them systematically, one by one, in the most brutal fashion. And do you guys notice the music? By the way, the show has great music, but that particular sequence is all just silence. There's no music as he's beating the crap out of them. All so that each sound
Speaking
effect.
of, I have the game. I'm playing.
Yeah,
it.
out of all of this, out of all of it, just the sound effect of every crunch. And hit and punch, dude.
The squishiness.
It's so visceral that it's hard to see, but it's such an impactful first episode that you're like, I need to see the rest of this.
So
It's a great cliffhanger.
season 1, I love that about the show. Season 2, I hated that about the show. I'm at a point where make it make sense, like trigger the emotion behind it. Like I loved what they did with season 1, but there were moments where they dropped F-bombs in season 2, and I was like, did we really need that? Like, did that have to be said? Was like, it just feels gratuitous to a degree where I'm just kind of like, it almost seems like so much media and so many things are just trying to like push the envelope.
Yes.
For example, The Boys. There's things that I love about that show, but at the same time, like in the first episode, when you see A-Train just run and that girl's arms get ripped off, that is a shock factor on a good level. Like, you're setting the tone for what I need to understand about the world.
And then if I forget what season it was, where the guy shrinks himself down and goes
Yes.
inside the guy's penis, and then he blows. That stuff, that was too much for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
It
about.
doesn't-
Couldn't deal with that. man.
But you're okay with the tentacle penis and the,
No,
and
that
the
was
thing?
even worse. That's my point, though. It's just it got.
Let me tell you
these
what-
things got worse and worse for me.
Let me
But
tell you what it is. It's the same thing that happened with radio in the 80s and 90s, which was shock jock was prime. So the more shocking you are, the more people will tune in. That's what's happening with these shows right now. They take something that they're being subtle, but then they overblow it because ratings go through the wazoo. Most people like seeing train wrecks. Most people like seeing this kind of stuff. So what was my complaint about Games of Thrones?
Too much boobs.
Yeah, and that's coming from me, dude. You know, but it's kind of like it's kind of like that whole like.
Don't lie. It was the penises that was the one bridge too far, right? It's like, oh no, there's a penis. Never mind.
No, that's the part. That's the part.
I'm out.
That's the part that I would pause. But no,
To seethe in your rage, right? Like you pause it and you're like, oh, look at how I'm so mad at this. That penis. Oh my god. And then wife, come in here. I need to show you.
I would beat off really mad. Oh, there's a penis on the screen. Oh, oh you.
See, you just did the Game of Thrones thing right now. You just went too far.
No. But what I'm saying is, there's in certain there's a time and a place for certain things. And for Game of Thrones, there was some parts where it's like I'm getting into the story, then all of a sudden there's this weird orgy scene. It's like it threw me off. It didn't belong in there.
I agree with that.
And I get why they do it. It's because it people like seeing that shit.
Do you get the impression though that and we'll go back to Invincible, but do you get the impression that HBO got the memo? Because I feel that
They did dumb it down.
Well, also not just in the show, but also not in Game of Thrones, also, but in the
House of Dragons.
spin-off. Yeah, I felt like there was a lot less of it.
They got
it was still there, but it was less.
But it was done very well.
I think so,
So
too.
far, I think season 1 of House of Dragons is better than.
And excited for second season.
Yes.
They do test audiences over and over and over again, and they get the ratings back. There's like the Q ratings or something like that of a TV show, and there's certain segments of a show that like these studios and these networks can actually monitor and register when people turn the channel. And people start turning the channel when the sex scenes came on. one, I mean, of course you're gonna have extremely moral people who are like, look, I don't want to see a sex scene, or I'm watching this with my family. Click. But then you actually have people like who don't mind, who are just like, what, really again, like for real, what does this have to do with the story? Like, you cut to a scene of a person in an orgy, they walk out of the orgy, put a towel on, go into another room, and then start a conversation. Was the orgy necessary?
Not at all.
Not at all. And so people are starting to pick up on those things.
That's good.
And that's kind of that's kind of some of what I felt in season 2 of Invincible. I felt like some of the violence was
done for violence sake, not for
it wasn't. It didn't flow with the story, and I felt like there were some pacing issues because of stuff like that.
I wholeheartedly agree.
The end of the story, the end of the season 2, really like hooked me back in, and primarily, I'm gonna be honest, I'm in there for Mark and Eve's relationship. I don't know why emotionally, like I am invested in seeing those two get together.
Because it feels natural. It feels like a friendship going to the next level. It's natural instead of like another show.
What's cool about that, because in the comics, that is absolutely the core of the comics, and I appreciate that in the show. They gave him the girlfriend. They actually went a little farther, and because this is a good point to talk about some of the differences the show versus the comics, because definitely the show has more diversity versus the comics. For example, his friend is not gay in the comics, and in fact has a relationship with the girl that he's currently with, Amber. Except in the show she's black, where in the comics she's not. They also made her character a little bit more intense in the show versus the comics. So they made some changes, and some of those changes are good. I hate Amber, though. I hate her. Hate her so much.
With a passion, I hated her character, and I was upset that they made the black character so unlikable.
Right.
The women bashing of the Ouchcast is not the views of the Ouchcast.
We're the red pill now.
Well, do you remember, they try to sort of fix it in the second season with a few throwaway lines where she herself acknowledged that she felt mad at herself for having to be mad at him.
And I feel like from season 1, she was so unlikable that they were like, we got to tone her down because we don't want the audience to hate her. Because literally, I was ready to tune out probably episode 4 of season 2 because I can't stand her. Yeah. Like, her story, I know, like, even in the comics, she's supposed to be this unlikable character so that, like, she's replaceable, and then eventually, like, you see her break off things with Mark, right? And the audience is kind of waiting for it. But in the meantime, while I know they have to have these encounters, it just feels like disgusting, like, just get rid of her already. She's horrible.
Another really cool change they did, though, just in that vein, is that the mother's character in the comic isn't as robust as she is in the show. Her her grief is much more focused on in the show, which I think was really great. I like that she's the question is like, dude, her husband who like fooled her for 20 years because they were together for about 20 years. Is that
because it's his
those scenes in season 2 are some of the most riveting scenes in the whole show. Like, where I'm like, dang, that's true.
Yeah,
because when I'm watching a show now, we've seen so much content over the years. How do you take a character and make their plight interesting? And there's a writing channel that I listen to, and sometimes he said, in your story there's a background, or there's a environment that only your story can tell, and it's an angle that only your characters can come from because their world is unique to them. And so I felt like the mother's story arc, like, I'm so glad you brought that up because it was so multi-layered, and just like there's depth, like where she's trying to move on and she goes on a date, or she tries to get a support group and like the support group turns on her. I'm just like, man, like. But
she also breaks down and shows that emotion of having her to grieve with that. It's like some kind of like loss at the same time and acceptance of the monster.
It feels like they really
husband was.
They stepped up the characters because the voice actors
are amazing,
and the voice actors they just
Sandra Oh. Sandra Oh's the mom.
They got just they got some really great voices for the show that they could emote, and therefore they gave them better storylines. Another really interesting one, dude, is and it actually goes into Fallout. Cecil, the character Cecil, his character is much more interesting in the show than he is in the comics, and they really step up his involvement in the life of Mark and the family, where in the comics all of that stuff doesn't really show up as much until later, and even later it doesn't have as much of an impact. Now it seems like they really just sped up everything and gave Mark and these characters a lot more to work with, so that you're more emotionally invested in that short time. And so the voice actor of Cecil is the guy who plays the ghoul and
Goggins or something.
Something Goggins. Great
He is
voice.
an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But there's another character that's actually like just not. He's a secondary character, but I think his
Ferguson.
Donald
Ferguson.
Yeah.
He's great.
I think the fact that he's going through this denial and now acceptance of something happened to him, that he died.
Oh, yes.
That is freaking. I want to see more. I can't wait to the payoff of that.
But you know what it was? Okay. The gay character, right? The best friend. Well, I can't remember his name.
I want to say Randall, but Randall's the actor's name.
I can tell you right now. I have I'm looking at like a list. William.
Okay.
William.
The reason why.
Randall, played by Randall.
And you know what? Here's a point that I'm so sorry about William. He's not gay in the comics, but later on he does come out. That's the part I need to correct. So he does come out later on, but initially he's with the.
I wonder if they
Amber,
changed
or
it
the character
to adapt to the show.
Well, they did. They made it earlier. But
Yeah.
He was just out right from the get go. Where in the comics, apparently, like he comes out much later. And according to Kirkman, William's love life was more normal to the viewer now. For that reason, he wanted him to normalize it, since there's never any pushback or questioning when it comes into the topic as he feels. Because in the comics, there was like some little revolt apparently.
Got you. It didn't bug me. You know, like, one, they don't show anything gratuitous where you're like, okay, dude, like, that's too much. They didn't show anything like that. Two, they didn't censor the character around his sexuality or what he's going through.
It's natural.
It was a natural, like,
not a stereotype.
Hey, look at that guy. I know you're not into guys, but you know, and then they just moved on from it, and I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, I get it.
Well, I remember we asked Angel some episodes back, what would be the best way to handle a scene, and I'm going to do air quotes here, woke scene, and it's in a sense that would like tick all the boxes off, and you said, well, what would make it better was not make something such a big deal, and just make it a natural part of the storyline, and that's what it appears they did with William, because William in the comics has a big coming out scene. And now imagine if they would have done that in the cartoons, then it would have felt like there's some kind of kowtowing to trying to make, let's bring the plight up, as opposed to just it made it a very normal part of his life.
Yeah, it's not woke. It's just natural.
Yeah.
Well, unlike, let's say, Bobby Iceman in X-Men.
Yes.
That whole thing was
Velma.
I hated that. They got another season.
They got a third now.
God dang, man.
Take a pause and throw up in your mouth if you watch Velma.
And there's the other one, the Avengers female scene. Those scenes, all those three scenes show the same
Girls
thing.
doing it for themselves. Girls were assembled doing it for themselves. Or I don't know. What was it?
Something like that. I don't know. But it was just a slap on the face to Scarlett.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow.
I hate the scene because it was the wrong girl.
It should have been Black Widow. Should have been Black Widow.
I wouldn't have complained not one bit. I would have actually cheered and stood up and supported.
They did her dirty.
Now,
they really did. You're
good at the trivia. Do you recall that in that scene, actually, Captain Marvel wasn't even supposed to be the character. Was supposed to be Nova, right?
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be Nova.
Originally, Nova was going to be introduced in the original scripts. He was going to be introduced. And remember when Thanos destroyed, when he gets one, by the time we meet him in the actual movies, he already has one of the or two of the stones, I believe.
Two of the stones.
Well, it's revealed that he went to Nova Prime, the planet that is part of the Guardians movies, and destroys it to get the stone. Mm-hmm. Well, in the original script, they were gonna show that scene. It was gonna be a huge battle sequence. He was gonna go there. He was gonna destroy it,
and that's how he got Nova.
Ryder, whatever his name was, the guy played by John C. Reilly. He's supposed to be his character is actually connected to Nova.
He's supposed to be the mentor of Nova.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they're part of the Nova Corps.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nova Corps, but he was supposed to be the ultimate Nova.
Right.
Corp.
So all of that was supposed to culminate. All of that was nixed for whatever reason, and then in order to fill that gap, because it was supposed to be some big, powerful hero come in and help, they gave it to Captain Marvel. And
but and that's the thing. It's the least needing that moment. She is the last character who needed backup.
But
she's able to fly through spaceships and half of his army, yet all of a sudden the women have to back her up. Now, if it was the bald-headed girl from Wakanda, then I'm all for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. No. I agree with you on that for the most part. I feel like that scene for me, like, it was the most funny scene because we made fun of it before in one of our podcasts. I think it was when we were at Dries or wherever that place was.
Yeah.
And we were talking specifically about that. And
It no longer exists.
It doesn't?
No, Dries went out of business.
Oh well, there you go. Their cedar wood wasn't smelling so good lately, I guess. So we specifically talked about that because that scene just felt so trite and out of place because all of a sudden she's there and we're like, we got her, and all of a sudden you have like, who was it again? It was oh gosh, I forget who had what, and then it's such a forgettable, cringy scene. And just it felt so unnecessary. It felt wrong. It felt like, okay, and this is when the girls get together, and this is when Captain America gets to lift up the hammer, and it's just
But it's honestly, I don't have an issue with the scenes. It's the logic behind the scenes that don't add up for me emotionally. Like I said, if it was a superhero with no powers, yeah, she needs every super-powered person to get her to the destination. But when the super-powered hero, the most powerful one, is the one carrying the Infinity Stones, it's kind of dumb. That's what I couldn't wrap my head around, and that's where, like, emotionally I just got taken out of the moment, because when I go back and rewatch the scene, it makes me cringe because she basically could beat up all the heroes herself. She was able to stop Thanos' punch by herself. So it's like, why does she need help again?
Yeah.
And then now it's pandering because of that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The way that scene was put together, it felt unnecessary. But I think it all comes down to because the guys had what are the directors' names? I forgot, but they had a very different vision. Yeah, the Russo brothers. They had a very different vision for it, and I guess they had to change it.
Marvel gets involved.
Yeah.
It's the same issue that happened with Phase 2 of Marvel, where they kept bumping in and they changed Ant-Man. They changed Iron Man 2. They ruined Iron Man 2.
Yeah, that was a bad movie.
Yeah, because they kept on. They had the committee, the Marvel committee.
Did they?
Yeah, there was a Marvel committee in the beginning where they didn't trust Favreau or the directors to have this global thing or Kevin Feige. Mm-hmm. So they had this guy named Ike. I forget his last name. Ike. Yeah, whatever. They had other producers from other shows.
And like Abby Rad or something like that?
No, I think he was part of it. And they also had toy makers.
You're gonna eat this cake, Robert Downey Jr.
So they had the toy makers on there, and the whole committee basically they put in their input based on what toy would sell best. What is best for the thing? So they would not care about the story.
Is this what thing? Committee of 6 people familiar with its comic book lore? Feige, co-president of Marvel Studios, Louis Despacito, including Dan Buckley from publishing, Marvel Entertainment's chief creative officer Joe Quesada, and then Brian Bendis, I believe. Brian Michael Bendis, Alan Fine. Saw the committee. So I mean,
then there was Ike.
This was a 2007 iteration of that committee.
Yeah,
and then,
it kept going on and changing.
So so this is kind of going full circle, but the thing is, I don't know who the committee is now.
There is none.
But they did a phenomenal job on X-Men 97. And
there
Enrique, I can't wait for you to actually see it because. Okay, so you heard a few of my notes on Invincible, and I think pacing wise, sucking you in emotionally,
that's what she said.
Using the characters in a way that makes sense to each character, giving them a moment to shine, and like story arc where it all culminates in the end of the first season. I don't know if I've ever seen a story or a TV show pull it together better. I think Into the Spider-Verse probably is the best animated movie I've ever seen. The second one, the Miles Morales, the second.
Across the
Spider-Verse. I always mix
Into
the two
the
up.
first one, yeah. Great movies.
Yeah, the second one is probably the best movie I've ever seen, animated wise, because emotionally I remember kind of like sitting on the edge of my seat and catching myself like, wait a minute, am I excited to see how this plays out? And then I sat back and relaxed and understood exactly like how I was feeling emotionally. And then like when the movie ended, I was like, I need more. Mm-hmm. Like immediately, that was my immediate emotional response to seeing.
Doyle, are you excited about Spider-Man Noir live action with Nicolas Cage?
Negative. Actually, yes, because it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Amazon.
It's gotta be awful.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
amazing.
Anything with Nicolas Cage is like an old school Godzilla movie. You know it's bad, but you gotta watch it for its campiness.
That's why I love Nicolas Cage. Did I ever tell you my theory of how he chooses his roles?
How does he choose his roles, man?
He goes, "What kind of wig am I gonna wear?" Think about it. Think about all Con Air, starting with Con Air.
What kind of wig?
Con Air is one of my all-time favorite movies.
High five on that one. Yeah.
Put the bunny down. Like, yes. You better put that bunny down.
Cyrus the Virus.
I wasn't ready for that. That was so good.
I love Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's a good movie.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider was a good movie.
I liked the first one.
I can't say I love Ghost Rider.
I liked it. No, I said I liked it.
I'm going to challenge you guys. What is his worst movie? Because it's probably still good. What's his worst movie?
National Treasure?
No, I love National Treasure.
Still good.
I still like those
still
movies.
Good. Bad. That's a bad good movie.
He's got some bad ones.
Driven.
Okay. Have you guys seen Color of Space? It's a adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft, and it's on Shudder.
I have it on my list, but no.
Dude, it's really good and bad at the same time, but it's so good.
That's the thing about
he basically.
That's the thing about him. It's like you can't.
That should be his like selling tagline. Like his agent should be like, Nicolas Cage
is a
so
national
bad,
treasure.
He's good.
He's a national. Okay,
he's a national treasure.
You know. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
I see what you did.
You fucked up though, bro. I'm sorry. I had to cuss. I apologize. Beat me out on that. Beep. But you messed us up on that. You know why? Because now you need to retire the joke. I'm sorry. You have to retire.
It wasn't mine. It's his.
Well, it's done. It's done because guess what? You just found a way to connect it.
It's a sucker.
You connected.
We could never
it's
top
a
that.
Sucker.
You can't because you just not on purpose. We didn't write it anywhere. Just naturally connected National Treasure joke to National Treasure the movie.
It's really
done.
funny?
It's like taking a multiplication problem and a negative problem and multiplying. You just canceled them.
You remember how I made that Instagram post with Bill Burr's face in the chest? He just put up an advertisement for the movie. It's the same thing.
Done.
Nicolas Cage is a national treasure. He's not just in it, but he is.
He is the national treasure.
And done.
They're
and
like,
seen.
They're trying to find Nicolas Cage now, and
it's over.
That's what the series was. That's what the series. Shit you not, dude.
We need to find the national treasure, and he's like, he's right here.
What kind of
Where's
wig am I
Gates
gonna
at?
wear?
What kind of wig am I gonna wear?
Oh man, I would love to see like a Victorian like piece with Keanu and Nicolas Cage.
Whoa. Yeah.
I can't even do it.
He's about and then
No.
Whoa.
Like, whoa.
I would love to see someone. I would love to see two people try to read like Shakespearean, like Victorian era lines in Nicolas Cage's voice. I'm gonna call it the Nicolas Cage challenge.
Face off.
They're doing a sequel to that.
Are they?
Yep.
I'm there for it, bro.
Yeah.
I am there for it.
Did you guys?
John Woo.
There for it.
And both Nicolas Cage.
I can't.
Face on, okay? Face on. They got to put their faces back on after it falls off at some point off.
Okay, I've had this discussion with so many people. Did he die at the end of the first one? Some people said he died,
but he didn't. They leave it ambiguous.
But here's my perspective. It's John Woo. anytime the villain dies, there's like a slow motion scene where their hand drops or something super dramatic signifying the person died.
Yeah.
He's singing a song and then it cuts scene like he's just really hurt.
Yeah.
So if he didn't die, I could believe it. It didn't specify that he was dead. So I personally think he survived.
Enrique?
I'm trying to see. It says you're also probably wondering how Cage could possibly be returning for the sequel if his character was shot by a harpoon and killed at the end of the original. Well, it's quite simple, really. Barrett, who is writing the sequel, has stated that he doesn't believe Castor Troy, played by Cage, actually died. That's it.
Wow.
That is it. So
Good night, everybody.
Harpoon does not beat Scissors and or Rock apparently because Harpoon is weak.
A lot of blood
Oh
loss.
my God.
He goes to the hospital.
I'm sorry. You just reminded me of a really bad pun joke that I saw today.
Oh.
Where there's a
Color
picture.
purple?
There's a picture.
Harpo beat me.
There's a picture of The Rock hugging a rock and it says, "Love thyself."
No, that's not bad. That's good. That's really good. That's really, really good. It's just like that joke I sent you. Remember, like
No, they're ignorant. That's ignorant.
Did it go like this? What do you think of me hugging this rock? It doesn't matter what you think of me hugging
matter
this
what
rock.
you think of this rock. What joke, Enrique?
I'm trying to remember it, guys. But
You sent me a bunch of jokes.
I sent it to both of you guys on the. I sent it on the on our thing. Remember, it's this one right here. Look.
I'm gonna go outside and get a Sharpie and write "Final Boss" on every.
Okay, guys, you guys ready? It's this one right here.
Why is Dwayne Johnson the only man that could turn lesbians?
Why is Dwayne Johnson the only man who can turn lesbians? Why is that, Lee?
Because rock beats scissors.
Wow.
Because Rock beat Scissors. It's just like that, bro. Rock beat Scissors. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He defeats the lesbians apparently
It's a circle.
in some fashionable way.
I'm just gonna go outside and write "Final Boss" on every pebble I see and see who gets it.
Yeah. Well, he's about to change the balance of the DC universe, and now he's gonna go change the balance of Marvel universe because apparently they casted him in something.
I hope not.
So
I also saw that that the MCU cast Taylor Swift.
no,
No, it hasn't been confirmed.
Okay.
no.
Has not,
dang,
although
please.
she was seen in a meeting with Marvel Studio executives, but I hope she's not Dazzler. That's what I'm
Can she
saying.
even? Oh well.
act? She's done a couple, but she's not a good actress.
Dazzler.
It's a stupid character. As long I don't
Yeah,
care.
No.
I'm fine with that.
Let her have it.
I'm good.
No, because
Well,
of the
Dazzler-
video game.
I'd
and-
rather her be Dazzler than she be like, "Can I be Jubilee?" or some
You
shit
know
like
what?
that.
You know what?
Or Kitty Pryde.
You are absolutely
No.
right because all they have to do is show her on stage dazzling, and
that's it.
If Taylor Swift can't do a performance and then call herself Dazzler, I don't.
Did you just
wanna
say
be on this planet?
Did you just say you have
Dazzling.
to show her on stage dazzling, and then you guys didn't laugh at my Rock beats Scissors joke? Really? I'm color me disappointed. What wig am I gonna wear? That was good, right? That's the one to beat. That's the one. Well done, sir.
And on that note, thank you for joining us on this eclectic episode of the Ouch Podcast. Doyle?
Wow. You coming to me first, huh? Well, I guess.
Well, I'd say the missus, but she's microphone shy.
Oh yeah. Well, in honor of the missus. Actually, no. Go to www.ouchcast.com. Give us a like or a follow on Spotify. Add us to your playlist. Come back. Join us again. We will have more content shortly.
Enrique?
Don't make eye contact while you're eating Doritos, Angel.
Cheese all over your fingers is disgusting.
He's got the cheese touch.
I got the cheese touch.
Microphone all cheesy.
I gotta clean it.
Actually, I want to send a shout out to your wife. Thank you for bringing me water from Starbucks. This saved my life.
Thank
honestly.
you, Mrs. Doyle.
I appreciate you so
Water,
much. Thank you.
the liquid of life.
Yes.
Agua.
What was it? What was the line from Mortal Kombat? Bring the water, bring the liquid that brings life. What did she say?
Something like that.
Something like
It's
that.
so stupid. And then the bucket.
The bucket.
Oh,
I need to harpoon the guy like in Face Off, which we just learned that harpoons don't kill people.
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
They can kill dolphins, they can kill sharks, they can kill everything, but not a person. Because, it misses all the internal organs.
Not when you're a national treasure.
How many people have died by harpoon in movies? Leave us a message and let us know if you know how many. Like, give us a good example of
Has
someone who died.
And for
in
the
a movie.
record, Nicolas Cage does not count because
It
he
has to be a harpoon, though.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage does not count. He lived.
he lived.
I want to call him Nicholas County, and I want to see him go to jail.
Wait, what?
Why not?
Nicholas Prison.
He's trying to make up for his Dazzler joke with that one.
with that.
I am not.
We need to keep track of these. Can we have like a counter or something?
We're gonna have a little tally mark on the next one. And then just want to say, George, we miss you, but not really.
Not at all.
Nah, you're fired.
Bring me water next time, George.
If
We
you
would
wanna-
fire you, but it requires too much paperwork.
Yeah,
That's
that's so true. That's why you're still here.
Hey,
So-
my iPhone says the world is round, by the way, guys. You see that?
Ooh, hey, my iPhone says the world is round.
I don't know. Your iPhone's flat.
Well done, sir. I'm going to shake your hand heartily from across the stage. Well done. He did it.
all right.
He did it, folks. That we need to end on that one. That's the one.
Leave us a message at area code 925-421-6824 or area code 925-421-OUCH. OUCH. And remember, it feels pretty good. Never make eye contact while eating a banana. Good night.